Happy Monday, degenerate gamblers. Welcome on back into the Die Hard MMA podcast. We are headed back to Vegas, and we got a fresh dumpster to just cannonball our way right into UFC Vegas 120. It is a sketchy fight night if I have ever seen one, but that is not stopping us diehards from breaking it down and trying to find some spots where maybe we can make a little cash. Welcome into the show, everybody. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. We've got Muhammad Boston in the house, Andy G, Grateful Dude, Dix Insider, Sal, what is up, my friend? We've got Carl Zimmerman. How you doing, my friend? My boy Vinzi in the house. Cameron, what's up? All right. And now this thing is popping and jumping all over the place. I'm trying to get caught up. Pen DJing. There we go. Hasbulla, Volk, Allen, Graves, Dawes. How's it going? My man DFS by the number, swinging by to hang out as well. Appreciate you for being here, buddy. What's going on, everybody? Playing for real. Allen Graves, Vic, Ross. What's up, guys? All right. Hey, if you didn't notice, we got the baby blues on again, everybody. Can you believe it? Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a 4-fight win streak, and it has been months since I've said that. We had a couple of back-to-backs. We had, I think, 1 3-fight win streak, but it was like really sketchy at best. We are sitting on 4. That's 4 in a row. They're little. I can't get too big for my britches, but you know what? Little positives, we're just going to chip away at it. It's better than sitting on a 4-5 negative unit type of night. Any plus is good. A win is a win. We're coming off like plus 1.3 units, I want to say, plus 1.4 units. But again, you guys, again, the very first play on the board that I see, that I love, that I make, it's a 2-legger parlay. I said I just wanted to absolutely smash. Just smash. And of course, it comes through with flying colors. If I had just not touched the rest of the card, if I hadn't bet anything else, we'd have been up 3 units for the night. And the only reason it wasn't a max bet, first and foremost, I haven't done a max bet in months. I've been trying to chill out on those max bets, but it should have been a max bet. The only reason that it wasn't is because not one, but both fighters involved in the parlay were making their return to the UFC or their UFC debuts. So even though I knew the spots were good, we couldn't all the way trust them, just shove the chips in the middle type of moment. So it could have been like a big score type of night, but I kind of played around a little too much. We got a little too goofy, but I'll take the win. Win is win. Real quick here, you guys, before we get started, I do just want to say, unfortunately, the MMA world and especially the UFC, we got some really rough news today. The UFC posted that, unfortunately, Alan Nascimento has passed away. He had a heart attack. He was found non-responsive, and that's just rough for us as sports fans. You know, it's one thing when an elderly person passes away, is someone who's had a lifelong, someone who's been a lifelong sports competitor, something like that. Even if it's semi-tragic, where, like, and again, I'm not trying to like downplay it or anything, but like if they've got CTE and they're 60, it's like, okay, well, like we kind of get that, right? But this is like a young person in their prime and just suddenly found unresponsive due to a heart attack on the floor. So our thoughts and prayers, obviously, with his family. That is brutal. That is rough. He was taken far too soon, and really unfortunate. So I just wanted to start the show off by saying, guys, remember, no day is ever promised. You know, that could happen to any one of us at any point in time. And I don't want to paint that in a negative light, right? Try to live every day the best that you can. You know, we can each improve on ourselves. We can improve on the world around us. We can make good decisions and good choices, one step at a time, trying to make things better. But if there's something hanging on you, if you've got a weight, if you've got something that's kind of been bothering you, please address it. This wasn't a suicide. I know this wasn't a suicide. It was a heart attack. It could have happened to anybody, but leave no stone unturned, you guys. Call that friend, call your mom, make peace with that uncle that you got in a fight with at Thanksgiving last year. That's the kind of thing we can do to just make sure we're not missing out on anything. I understand certain circumstances, especially some relationships, it's more healthy for people to walk away. And maybe that's the answer here too. If you've got somebody who is making your life worse by being in it, it's also okay to protect your peace and to step away from them to make sure that you're a happier and more well-balanced individual going forward, because you've got to be okay with yourself. At the end of the day, you've got to wake up and look yourself in the mirror and be okay with the person who's looking back. And that's the most important thing that any one of us can do. So just take a minute, reassess, be grateful for the day that we've got, be grateful for the friends that we've got here in the chat, the people who are willing to hang out with us and watch our favorite sport, because tomorrow may not come. So let's be happy today, you guys. Let's make the best of it today. All right. On that note, let's get everything back into gear. Let's go ahead and start talking about this event here. We got UFC Vegas 120 and a friend of the show, desperately in need of coming back on here, you guys. We've got Wiz MMA. For those of you who watched the Friday Undefeated post weigh-in show, Wiz had a surprise appearance not that long ago where he just kind of hit me up and was like, yo, send the link. And we did it, and it was awesome. But it's been forever since Wiz has come on with, a full fight camp, if you will, right? Time to do tape study and get into it with me on the show. So we're well due for a podcast. Wiz, my man, how you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on the show. And first and foremost, rest in peace to Alan Nascimento, and my condolences to his family. It's such a tragic loss for us here in the sport. Someone who has been one of my more favorable fighters to watch over the years. I am someone that likes watching the art of Muay Thai as much as I practice it, but at the same time, I can respect good grappling when we see it. And when Alan Nascimento was on, that dude was on, and he was the backpack similar to Aljamain Sterling, and I just love that style of grappling. So my condolences goes out to his family. But yeah, I'm really excited to be on the show, man. Super pumped to finally get my YouTube up and running again. Posted my first breakdown video last week for the event. Ended up close to 5 units on the day. Kept it very simple, and I just trusted my gut on a couple of these favorites and parlayed them up, and we ended up out clean. Michael Oliveira is future top 10, maybe top 5. Calling it from now, this guy's striking is next level. When it comes to the precision, when it comes to the power, he can piece it all together. And as long as we can continue to see him make improvements in the grappling, which we have not seen too much tape to suggest that he's bad in that area specifically, I think he'll be something, man. So I'm really excited for this card.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a fun card. I do love these dumpsters that we can dive into and find those hidden gems and look forward to the future. So definitely a hardcore's delight type of evening. Everybody do me a favor, smash that like button. Last week, if you have any thoughts, Wiz, I ended up profiting about 1 unit, 1.3, 1.4, something like that. I got to double check. How'd you end up doing on last week's event?
Yeah, last week's event, close to 5 units of profit. Had 2 parlays. One of them was Rakic and Jovan Leka. Very, I would say, sweat-free there. I know Rakic took it to the 3rd round, got the decision when most people thought he was going to finish. But when was the last time Rakic finished? I was very enthusiastic about Rakic potentially finishing this fight. In the 1st round, he looked like he was compromising Marcin Tybura's lead leg, and I don't know why he didn't continue to invest in that aspect. But he got it done. There was not a moment in the fight where I thought, oh shit, I'm about to lose this bet. Or that Marcin Tybura never really hurt Rakic there either. So really happy about overall performance. And again, shout out to my guy, Michael Oliveira.
There you go. Yeah, Mikey O making his UFC debut in style was impressive as hell. Unfortunately, you guys, the gravy train has come to an end. Haley Cowan will never step foot inside the UFC's octagon ever again. We are 4-0 betting against her. We made the absolute max we possibly could, fading her every single time. We were grateful we got one more shot to do it. I will say, Wiz, I'm just a little disappointed in myself because I was going to do an inside the distance parlay with Leka and Nina to go with my money line parlay with those two. And it ended up only being like plus, I think it was like plus 250 or plus 300, something like that for them both inside the distance. And I was like, it's not juicy enough. I'll pass on it. Well, it would have been sweat free. So kind of wish I had done that. Super Saiyan Bogdan Grad, I guess he's a thing. He got the win over Dennis Bukia. Little bit of controversy, weird stoppage there. The ref stepped in and thought he saw a tap. Bogdan Grad, a stand-up guy afterwards, said that he didn't feel a tap actually, but because the ref stopped it, he took it, which, that's his job. What did you think of that one, man? Did you see a tap or what did you think about the stoppage? Oh, did we lose Wiz? Guys, we might have lost Wiz. We might have lost Wiz. He's probably going to have to come back. Let's see if he can recover. Shout out everybody else rolling into the chat here. What's going on, Kane? Glad to hear we're helping you make some cash. It's been a while. It's been a while since anybody's been since I've been helping make people cash. Obviously the reads, the breakdowns, that's all for you guys and usually helps point people in kind of the right direction. But actually winning bets these days, right? Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? Oh my goodness. There we go. He's back. What's up, Wiz?
Yeah, we're back. My bad. I think my nephew just turned off the Wi-Fi when he was freaking getting frustrated at his Nintendo Switch losing in Fortnite.
Oh goodness, not the Fortnite. What did you think about the stoppage with Bogdan Grad? Did you see a tap or what did you make of it?
Look, to me it seemed like Buzukia tapped twice and then kind of acted like he was going to release pressure by grabbing the knee. But I don't know. It could go both ways. I thought it was a tap. And I didn't have any money invested on that fight at all. But that's just when someone does something of that motion, you can't really say, oh, I only did it twice, or oh, no, I wasn't tapping. I feel like that's just, you tapped.
It's funny because I actually had Bogdan Grad in a parlay. And from my perspective, it looked like he was searching for the knee. I felt like he was trying to push the knee and his hand couldn't find it. So it wasn't so much a tap as a trying to find the spot to relieve that pressure. So it's interesting because I did have money on it. I still gave Dennis Buzukia credit for not tapping in that spot. But I'll take the cash, right? I'm not about to complain about getting the win there. I'm a little disappointed. Ludovic Klein, I continue to just be absolutely zeros on that guy. Every time I think he's going to have a good performance, every time I think he's going to get a win, he just lets me down. So I parlayed him up against Tofik, my co-host last week, tried to talk me into Tofik as an underdog. And throughout the week, I was just kind of like, nah, man, I don't see it. It made so much sense sitting on camera with my guest, talking about it, hearing the points. And as I sat throughout the week, I was just like, no, man, that's not my thought process. That's his thought process. You know what I mean? So I was like, no, I always thought it was Klein. I was wrong. I'm never betting a Klein fight ever again, you guys. Just roast me in the chat if you hear me trying to put my money on a Ludovic Klein fight. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous in here. I'm going to need you guys to stop me.
I was just super sketched out about him coming back off of the brutal injury. And yeah, it was a broken ankle, and those aren't really, even though it sounds like it's a bad injury, it really isn't. When I broke my ankle, it took me about a solid 2.5 weeks 2.5 months, not weeks, to get back to training as a whole and intense training within 3 months. Now it could be aided by all these peptides and all this modern medicine that's out nowadays with his healing process. So that would help even more. But at the same time, you just never know how a fighter comes back after something like that because they can just have their confidence shot, can't throw leg kicks anymore, or you're not confident in terms of explosion off that leg. It could be anything. So I tried to stay away there. I did think that Klein was going to win, though. I thought he would be able to ground Tofik Musayev pretty easily. even though he's not the greatest wrestler. But, Tofik got him.
Man, I hear you, and that's one that I should have picked up on. Just leaving it alone. Not betting the dog, not parlaying. That just stay off the damn play. I've been doing better about that, Wiz. I've been doing better about identifying the sketchier spots and being like, you know what, I've got an opinion, but because it's really questionable, I'm just going to avoid it. But I fell right into that trap. Speaking of, I had the exact same energy when it came to Vlasto Seppo and Gilbert Urbina. And I'm really pissed on this one that I didn't get involved because Seppo was just so obviously a can crusher off the regional scene. And I was like, God, I still feel like he might just crack Gilbert though, because Gilbert's such a rough fighter, barely UFC caliber. I didn't want to get involved and I didn't want to trust him with my money. The big thing for me, Wiz, and this is the part I'm kicking myself on. When Seppo walked out, I went, oh, buddy's soft. Like this is a dude who looks like David Bautista in his pictures. You know what? Juice to the gills. He looks like Drax from freaking Guardians of the Galaxy. He's got veins popping out everywhere in all of his regional footage. And then when he walks out for the UFC, it's like, oh, like Buddy's not on the same gear he was a month or two ago. And I should have just shipped it. At that point, like just looking at the guy, I should have just shipped it. I tweeted about it. I didn't bet it. So opportunity lost. Any of you who got your money in on Gilbert Urbina, like God love you, bless the size of your balls, and congratulations on your piles of money.
I was so mad about that fight because in my breakdown on the show, I was talking about how, yeah, I think Seppo probably knocks him out in the first round, but if it makes it out of the first, Seppo's known to gas. Might be a good live bet opportunity, and I was looking, Clint. I was waiting for that round two. But as the first round went on, longer and longer, I slowly started to realize Seppo's a bum. Even more of a bum than I thought of after watching tape. And Urbina just looked like he maybe just had better overall durability and strength going up that weight class. 15 pounds does a wonder on you. That's why it's a lot more of a big question mark going from 170 to 185 or 185 to light heavyweight than it usually would be with other weight classes outside of heavyweight. Because 15 pounds is a lot of weight, especially for your chin and durability. So, hey, shout out to Urbina for getting it done.
It's a valid point, man. It's a valid point. Unfortunately, I had to watch my legend, my Polish power, Jan Blachowicz, go down to the next generation. Man, I still have questions about Navajo. The fact that that was like a come from behind win. He got cracked by Jan and almost dropped. It's like, damn, dude, he's legitimately gonna do the exact same thing to me that his freaking teammate did. I didn't believe in Carlos Olberg, not even for a second, and now the dude's got the UFC title. So the Navajo Sterling's gonna be the same exact story for me as he continues his climb up, because he's right around the corner now. It's interesting. Are we gonna get like a Rashad Evans and John Jones situation? Because we still don't have a 205 champion. You've got the champ who's sidelined right now with an injury. He's talking about coming back and wanting to run like a little mini tournament or something like that. And then at the end of next year coming back, he doesn't want to get stripped. He doesn't want an interim belt out there, but it's going to happen. He's going to be gone way too long for them not to move that division along. Navajo's right there, dude. Like, we might end up in a situation where we've got a title problem within the gym again.
I just don't really think Navajo would even accept the fight. He mentioned it in interviews last week because I think someone did ask him what happens if you do end up winning and Carlos is still champ. What are you going to do there? He said, I'll never fight one of my brothers. Same thing with Robert Whittaker. He says he enjoys training with them a lot and he doesn't want to go up against them. But it would be interesting if Rob Whittaker keeps winning because his timeline is a lot more limited than Navajo's timeline. Navajo's still young, and he can make a ton of improvements. It's TikTok for Rob Whittaker. So I think Whittaker might take the matchup if that ends up happening. I just don't think it does. I think at some point the size difference will catch up to him.
For sure. I agree with you. It's about to get interesting up at 205, though, man. But all these moving parts, all these guys coming up from 185. Some of these dudes bailing out and going to heavyweight. Things are getting shuffled. It's going to get interesting. What else can you say about the main event? Uros Medic, not a guy I like to trust at chalk, but you can't deny the hand speed. You can't deny the power. And Daniel Rodriguez coming out of a Mexican prison. How many times did they run that promo? They wanted to make such a big deal about how badass this guy was, getting not the right nutrients, not training well, and then being in the main event. And he got flatlined in 30 seconds. Just the most predictable outcome for the main event, I think. One of those ones where I look at the KO prop at minus 250 and go, gross, but it's correct.
I came out of that fight, first and foremost, Daniel Rodriguez, I've been in the gym with him for a very, very long time at Classic Fight Team, and dude's always very nice and takes the time to explain things to you if you ask him questions, so shout out to him. It's just tough when you're put in that situation, also being up there in age, coming out of a prison where your diet is definitely not good. Like, you're eating the bare minimum when it comes to nutrients. So going from that directly into a prep for a fight camp, realigning your body's internals with good food and vitamins and peptides and whatnot, is just not going to be a smooth transition, at least early on. You need at least a year just to come back from something like that, because he was in prison for 8 months. That being said, Uros Medic still has a lot to prove. Like, he's always been known to be a glass cannon. It's just recently he's been touching the chin before he's been getting touched. And the guys he's been going up against, Jeff Neal, we didn't really see too much happen in that fight, but Jeff Neal is used to giving us a solid performance and can land. If that fight extended, I think it would have got interesting. I'm pretty sure I bet on Jeff Neal in that fight, and I'm still mad till this day. But yeah, I do think that Uros Medic will have his time. And when that time comes, we will definitely be there, whether if it's in the big 2026 or in the big 2027. I'm excited for it.
Yep, I'm excited. I do think Uros' ceiling is going to cap out here pretty soon. But, they're doing a good job of hyping him up. He won in his hometown. It was cool to see him on the microphone afterwards. Good times. All right, guys, we have spent enough time talking about last week's event. We've got a dirty fight to get into here for this week's event. My boy Wiz is joining me to break down this fight card. Hit his links in the description below. Go check him out. Give him a follow, please. Of course, hit that like button. Get subscribed if you haven't. What are you doing? We do this every single week, and I post as much awesome content for you guys as I possibly can, trying to bring some entertainment to you guys throughout the fight week. So do me a favor, support your boy. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. UFC Vegas 120 kicks off with Juliana Killer Miller, and she takes on Ravena Oliveira in our first fight of the night. Now, Wiz, I got to tell you, everybody on this podcast knows that I'm a sucker for redheads. Everybody on this podcast knows that I love Jillian Robertson, and I married a redhead. That's always been my thing. But I got to tell you, man, I have my entire life, okay, just real quick, you guys, this has nothing to do with fighting, but my entire life, I have always had, I'm a no type guy, Wiz. I'm a no type guy. I can appreciate, anything and everything from every aspect of the spectrum for women, right? But my dating history tells a different story. Like, it's been all predominantly white girls. Like, I got the nerdy girl. I did the head cheerleader when I was in high school. Now I've got the redhead, but they're all pasty white girls, right? They're all very Caucasian. I've had a soft spot for the darker flavors, and I've just never been able to get there myself. There is something about Ravena Oliveira's hair that when I see that, it's just like, oh my God, like, it's the most gorgeous head of hair I've ever seen in my life. And that's one of those things where you look at and you're like, like, I just never pulled that trigger when I was young, and now I'm going to have to miss out on that for my entire life. So it's disappointing, but Ravena Oliveira has the most gorgeous head of hair I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was hoping that she was going to have a fun and exciting UFC career, because she honestly seems like she's a really fun chick too. She's a strong Brazilian physical girl. And you know how it goes with these women that come from Brazil. They look like they're on the good stuff before they ever get to the UFC. She's very physical. She's very powerful. But she got to the UFC at 135, and then she dropped down to 115. 2 weight classes, man, not 135 to 125, then to 115, straight down to 115. And I was like, okay, now we're talking. I was excited about that. I was like, as long as she cuts well to 115, I think that strength will make a difference. I think that she'll have some power at this weight class. It didn't work out that way, but they gave her Stephanie freaking Luciano, man. Like, now we're looking at Luciano, and last week I was a little sketched out by whether or not she was worth the price tag. I was like, I know this girl is young and exciting, and I know she's an up-and-comer. I know the UFC likes her. She's improving, but, like, is she really worth minus 300, minus 400? And Marina Spasic looks like she's a decent striker. She's tough. She's strong. Luciano diced her up. Then I'm like, you know what? You can't give fighters credit for L's, but like that one doesn't age poorly. You know what I mean? And then in her next fight, again, they just gave her a monster striker. And in both those fights, she looked competent and she looked good in the first round. She looked like she's made some improvements, even though she missed weight in that last fight, which is, a little bit concerning against Chanel. She did look like she was okay in that first round. It's when the fight gets extended. She starts to slow down. She starts to lose her confidence. She starts to gas a little bit. That's what worries me about Ravena Oliveira. But she's a BJJ brown belt. Her striking has kind of caught up a little bit from what we've seen, at least early in a fight. I'm not quite ready to give up on her just yet. Now, Juliana Miller is another questionable case, right? She's been in the UFC since she won the Ultimate Fighter, and it's been real up and down. It hasn't been pretty since Juliana Miller's been inside the UFC. She's 1-3 in her last 4. I got in on a massive plus 300 bet with my girl Veronica Hardy, but that was like the beginning of the end, right? The story, the book was written, the story was out at that point. You were never going to get big time sexy plus money on Miller after that point. Her only win, she managed to grind out a decision over Ivana Petrovic. And thank God I did actually bet her in that fight. So we got the win, right? We got the win. And now the UFC is kind of building her, using her to build other fighters' resumes, I guess I should probably say. She ran into Carly Judice, and it was just not close. The one thing I will say about Juliana Miller is she refuses to give up on herself. Even in that fight where she was completely outgunned, she never quit. She was stumbling backwards. She's got that newborn baby giraffe thing where she'll like fall off balance. She's super long where she'll throw a nice long jab out there, but if you got a speed advantage, you can crack her before she can ever get her defense back. It's not great. But she's a very good grappler, and she is relentless looking for takedowns. She likes to hang on people in the clinch. She'll get you in the Muay Thai plum and dig like knees to the body and stuff like that. There's some things to like still about the way Juliana Miller fights, in my opinion. The only thing that worries me is now she's 30 years old. Before she was like a young prospect. She took a bunch of time off. I could really kind of pump her up. Once you hit 30, 31, it's like, man, I know you're going to make small improvements, but I'm not expecting like leaps of improvements from you or anything like that. So this is a rough fight to start our night, man. This is a little bit of a bum fight between these two girls. Are you ready and willing to lay a big chalk price tag on 4-4 Juliana Miller, who's 1-3 in her last 4 fights in the UFC? Or are you willing to roll the dice on the big underdog who has yet to do jack shit in the UFC? She's 0-3 so far, and she's been finished in her last 2 fights. This fight is ass, man. Juliana Miller's a minus 250 favorite. You can get plus 210 on Ravena Oliveira. And I'll be honest with you, Wiz, when I first looked at this, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to get made fun of. But this is a Miller smash spot. Like, just smash Miller. And then I ran the tape, and I was like, fuck. It's kind of not a Miller smash spot, is it? I'm kind of tempted dog or pass on this one, but the only thing holding me up is that Ravena Oliveira's gas tank is no good. So if Juliana hangs on her and gets her to minute 8 or 9, it's Miller's world at that point. Miller's going to end up going to top position, whereas Oliveira, she will look for that back spot, right? She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. She'll be willing to play from her guard. And that's kind of the deciding factor here for me. If Miller wants to wrestle and get on top, unless she gets armbarred, she's more likely to win the fight in the long run if she can just survive getting bombed on by Oliveira in like the first round. So I guess it's still Juliana Miller at the end of the day, That was a whole lot of mental gymnastics to get there, you guys, and I do apologize. But for such a bad fight, it's actually kind of complicated. Wiz, what do you make of this one, man? What are you doing here?
Boo! Why are we starting on this side? Boo! That's what I think. I don't know, man. This fight just reeks. Oliveira is going up a weight class here. She's not really good at anything particularly. I wouldn't even say she's a generalist. She just exists in there. She's used to, grappling the low-level Brazilian chicks on the regional side, and that really didn't translate into the UFC. She's shown that she gasses quite a bit. She made Thainara look like Tatiana Suarez, for God's sake. Poor striking defense, poor takedown defense. I just think Miller could even be the better striker here and will be levels ahead in the grappling, in my opinion. I know she's a brown belt. Miller's a black belt. Not too far off, but at the same time, it is far off. That's a big difference still to me in terms of the jiu-jitsu. Miller will have the height advantage here. Not by much. It's 2 inches, but it still makes a difference, especially with the lankier arms. I just think Miller is going to be able to get this fight down to the mat. She is the tougher fighter, and at the end of the day, if it's not going well for her on the feet, Ravena Oliveira has not shown the ability to knock girls out or hurt them on the feet. So I think Miller will be able to walk through her punches. She will get hit by them because she also has some terrible striking defense herself. But whether she pushes her into the clinch against the cage and takes her down with a leg drag sweep, that's the way I really think it's going to happen. A leg drag sweep, and then Miller gets on top, eventually transitions into full mount. And yeah, the submission is the more likely outcome. But as I'm looking at some odds right now, Juliana Miller by knockout at plus anywhere between 1,200 to 1,500 is a really good shot here if you think that she's just going to go in there and elbow her face into the canvas. And that's what she's going to do. We're going for Juliana Miller by knockout. And we're going to go 2-3 as well. Please do not put her in any parlays. After giving this enthusiastic breakdown, I must give you the first one. Do not. If you like money, do not do this. But if you want to just sprinkle on the first fight, let's take that knockout. Throw a couple of bucks on it, some lunch money, and hopefully you'll have anywhere between 12 to 15 lunges.
I like it, man. And to be fair, she did get KO'd in her last fight, which was a rough KO, by the way. So who knows where the durability is at. And we know, especially with ground and pound, sometimes the ref will step in to save the ladies a little quicker. The 1 KO on Juliana Miller's record is a round 3 KO. So I'm with you there. Let's go. It's sketchy. We're degenerates. It's what we do. I like the long shot TKO. Quick shout out to my man, Barry Lang. What is up, my friend? Says, what's up, Clint? Medic generational night on Saturday. Here's some love, brother, for your win. Appreciate. Let's see. For the Lemos fight, do you think she will wrestle offensively? And Barry, my friend, I love that question. Now we're getting a little out of order, but since you provided the donation, we'll go ahead and entertain you here a little bit. I don't know that she can. Okay. We'll save the good stuff for that full breakdown because I love that fight. Alexia Thainara is my must watch prospect in this weight class. I love this girl, and I think she's going to be too tough and too strong, and she'll be able to out wrestle and out hustle Amanda Lemos. It is a huge step up in competition for her, though. And I think Amanda Lemos gets tired, and we've seen her pull guillotine way too many times, and she'll put herself in a bad position looking for the finish of the fight. I think that Alexia Thainara will end up finding her way to top position. Although it wouldn't be a bad strategy for Lemos to try to offensively wrestle in this fight, I'm not sure that she'll be successful with it. But that's probably enough time spent on that first fight of the night, Wiz. Let's keep it rolling on into the rest of these matchups because we got some good ones here. Miles Johns returns, and he takes on Jessie Rosas. Miles Johns, my old enemy, right? My nemesis. This guy and me, we could just never quite get there, Wiz. I lost so much money trying to fade Miles Johns in his heyday. He would do that thing where he would just kind of hang on for dear life in the third round of a fight. It's 1-1 going into 3. And I'm like, his cardio sucks. This guy's ass. He's going to fall apart. And then he would shift gears and go into wrestle mode and just wet blanket people for that third round. He's got so many split decisions and close fights that I lost money on. It makes me sick. I think a lot of that had to do with his gear shift. You know, he got all pissed off on social media not too long ago because he popped and he's like, no, no, no. And well, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Shut up. He's on a 3-fight losing streak since that happened. Crazy coincidence that. But he's really a decision machine, Wiz. He wins and loses by that third round. He did go to a war with Gene Silva. It's funny. Gene Matsumoto, I apologize. I watched that fight back. And in my mind, it was a dominant Gene Matsumoto fight. But I will admit that John surprised me a little bit in that fight. He was very competitive in the third round of that fight. He was not going away without a battle there. He does do a good job of like sitting down on his punches. So he does hit you really hard. He goes so hard in round 1 and round 2 that he doesn't leave a whole lot for round 3. So if you can really push him backwards, if you can dictate the wrestling pace in that third round, he'll kind of collapse on himself a little bit. And that's what, my boy Daniel Marcos did, which still a shame that Daniel Marcos is not in the UFC, by the way. I can't believe they cut this guy. He's going to go win $1 million over in the PFL for his troubles. But he's coming off of getting submitted in the second round by Daniel Marcos after getting kind of punched up. And this is an interesting matchup because they are throwing him Jessie Rosas. Now, if you guys recognize that name, it's because this is the older brother of Raul Rosas. So this kid is 23 years old, Wiz, and it's kind of crazy because his little brother, 21-year-old Raul Rosas Jr., has been in the UFC for 2 years now. So we're totally used to him. This guy's just making his UFC debut, and he is actually the older brother, which is kind of funny. There's a third brother floating out there, apparently, that might make his way to the UFC. We have all talked about this. The Urbina brothers gave us the opportunity last week. There's the A brother and there's the B brother every single time. But I'll tell you is we might have the rare like A+ and A- brother situation here because this kid is not bad. Watching his regional tape, he's got the same relentless grappling pace as Raul. He does come forward. He does look for takedowns. But he also seems like he's a much better striker than Raul Rosas. He looks like he's got better boxing. He's got decent power. He likes to sit down in the pocket. And one of my favorite things about this guy, the way he rips the body. He hurts people to the gut. And that's something that I think will work very effectively on a guy like Miles Johns. That's how you get someone with a bad gas tank to tire out and quit later in a fight, is you just rip their abs. I love this fight, Wiz. This is one of my favorite fights on the board this week, but it's one of my favorite fights to watch. It's not necessarily one of my favorite fights to bet because this is a massive jump into the UFC where I know Miles Johns is on like a 3-fight skid right now, but he's no slouch. On his best night, he's giving good competitive rounds to guys that are contenders in this weight class. So it's not like a walk in the park that they're throwing this kid for his first fight in the UFC. I would love to fade Miles Johns here. That's my MO. I always want to fade Miles Johns. I don't know that I can do that here in this spot. Miles Johns is a slight favorite, and I actually think that makes sense. As much as I'm cheering for, Rosas too, I kind of feel like this is a Miles Johns spot. Unconfidently. I don't love it. I'll definitely be rooting against him. But Miles Johns is a -155 favorite. Jessie Rosas is a +135 dog. The total set at 2.5. And I kind of feel like the over 2.5 is a smash spot, man. -170 for an over 2.5 in this fight. I feel like unless Jessie just gets fraud checked, if Miles Johns just like KOs him with an uppercut or something like that, this is probably going to be a very grindy fight. So I'm thinking over. And maybe if we can get like a +3.5 or something like that on Jessie, I'll think about it. But I can't imagine that number is going to be very good. What are you doing here?
Looking at this fight, it's a huge step up in competition for Rosas. That's one thing. But here's the thing. He has good volume. He has decent striking. It's obvious that it's wrestling for these guys. Wrestling and grappling for the Rosas family is going to be their strong suit. But I will say that I think he's a better striker than Raul, personally, coming into the UFC at least. The issue for him on the feet is not his offensive striking, it's the defensive striking, because he is there to be hit and can get cracked if he doesn't improve his defense, like at some point in the future. He will get knocked out in the UFC at this level. You can't really keep yourself that defensively open. So he needs to watch his P's and Q's there. And at least while early, Miles Johns can piece him up if this fight does not end up on the mat as quickly as maybe Jessie would hope. Miles Johns, if it ends on bottom as often as it does like versus Marcos, I think it's going to be a problem, especially against Rosas. Dominant grappler who will look to get this fight to the mat. He will look for submission opportunities. And look, against Daniel Marcos, this guy was giving up takedowns. And we don't really see Daniel Marcos as someone who shoots takedowns. He's more known to be a sniper, someone who unloads on volume when it comes to his striking. And it's not really the grappler wrestler Daniel Marcos. So that told me a lot. And Daniel Marcos winning by submission, I think, says that Rosas could find some success there too. I'm not saying he's going to sub him, but he can find the success if Marcos found success.
I hear you.
If it stays on the feet, he can land at will against Rosas, can hurt him. He's defensively a liability on the feet, has bad cardio, and this fight is also on short notice. So I do think that Johns will gas, maybe even quicker than we're used to seeing it. If Rosas pushes grappling, I think it's just his fight to lose. At this dog price point, you kind of have to take the shot here, even though he's making his debut and it's a huge step up in competition. Skill for skill, I just think that at this point in their careers, Rosas has more to prove, is more hungry, is 9 years younger, and is the underdog at the end of the day. So give me Rosas here, money line. I just don't want to pick a specific method. I think it can be any method.
Nice. All right. Well, I love the ballsy dog shot, my friend. I think on this one, I'm going to wait for Friday. I want to see the weigh-ins. Because if we get like full balls to the wall, motivated, been hustling, staying ready, save my job, Miles Johns, I'll probably just leave it alone. But if we get like that soft, short notice, I'm just kind of jumping in here, one last shot before I go 0-4 and get cut. Like if I see, those signs, then I'll be with you. And I'll jump in on the dog. The UFC obviously loves their brother-sister combos. So obviously I do think their intent here is for a guy like Rosas to win. And I think he's good. So I'm with you. I'm not going to say like, this is a softball spot or, anything like that. The UFC is not trying to like set this guy up. But it's a tough fight. And I think because of Raul, it's a spot where they're going, hey, get your brother in here. He's got to prove it. We think he's pretty good. This is the fight. So, lots of question marks on this one. One of those ones like Luke Klein last week where maybe I should just leave it alone. But I'm with you. Final pick, I'll pick Rosas, but I'm not convinced I'm putting money on it. Let's keep it rolling, everybody. Next up, Manuel Sousa takes on Richie Miranda. And this might be fight of the night, Wiz. This fight is an absolute banger, guys. So both of these guys come out of the LFA and they've made it to the UFC. Manuel Sousa is 29 years old. He is 1-0 so far in the UFC, and that 1-0 is a massive KO win over Belagioki.
Each of these connections having more and more of an effect. Oki's out on his feet. Yeah, he was starting to use. That is it. Puts him out for good.
Click the wrong thing. Holding the glove. Lined up the shot, crushed his skull. And by the way, that was deep in round 3. Oki got dropped badly and almost finished in the first. It was a fight that could have been over way early. And Oki came back in that second round and landed some huge shots on Sousa. He got chin checked. He got cardio checked. He got heart checked. That was a perfect UFC debut, in my opinion, Wiz. All the things that I need to see from a prospect where it's like, man, on the regionals, you might be crushing cans. You never really get pushed. I never really see you take a big shot. All those things, they all happened in this one fight. And then he ended up getting a big finish late in the fight, which that cardio and that body work that he pumps out there, that's my favorite thing about him. He's got 9 wins by KO. 3 of those come in round 2. And 2 of those come in round 3. So even though, yes, he is splattering a lot of these regional guys, he is fully capable of taking tough fights, dragging them deep, and then beating them to a pulp deeper in the fight. And I love that. Those are my favorite fighters. Weaponized cardio guys are my favorite people to bet on. He also has 3 wins by sub. And one thing we saw in the Oki fight, I just want to make mention this to you guys. He was going for a Kimura. Now, we all love those exact sub props. That's something to just file away, stick it in the back, right? Just hang on to that one. Because if he gets a spot where he's got a chance to grapple, he is willing to attack a Kimura, and this guy is physically strong. That's the kind of power you need to pull off a sub like that. I think we might be able to hit a big one at some point with this kid down the line. Richie Miranda is 13-1. He's 31 years old, and he is coming in from LFA. He skipped Dana White's Contender Series. He's making his debut here. He was the LFA's lightweight champion, and he actually had 2 title defenses. So one of these guys that stuck around, did what he needed to do, defended the strap. This fight is basically the 155 LFA championship because they both could have crossed paths there, but they made it to the UFC instead. He is very heavy in plotting the way he walks forward. He just kind of stomps down his opponents. He likes low kicks. He likes side kicks. He's got a good jab. He really loads up on that left hand, but he stays very measured and just kind of stays on the gas the entire fight. He's another one that kind of punches his way into takedowns, but instead of looking for like control when he gets you to the ground, he wants to do damage. So if he can get you to the mat, he starts unloading. People can get back up, but he'll take that 2, 3, 4 punch combo as you're getting back to your feet. Just an opportunity to hurt you. That's how he takes it. He really doesn't move his head, Wiz. That's the big thing I noticed on tape. This guy's durability is something else because he eats huge shots in his fight, and it just does not seem to affect him ever. It's kind of crazy. I think eventually at the UFC level, that's going to bite him in the ass. Whether it bites him early or not, I don't know, but I worry a little bit about that style of fighting. He's also a cheater. This is a man who will grab the cage unapologetically. He will take that shot. So if he gets in a bad spot, you guys always bet the cheaters. I'm with you on that from now on. He is a fence grabber. But he's just a dog, man. He's kind of a technical brawler the way he fights in this spot. And, man, I know this line is wide, you guys. I understand. And I know a lot of people are saying, don't count this Richie Miranda guy out. I am so sold on Sousa, Wiz. I am unbelievably sold on Sousa. I think this kid is the goods. I think this kid is legit. And I know this is going to be a war, but both these guys are durable. One of them is far more technical. One of them has a full mixed martial arts game, and the other one eats punches for breakfast. I got to go with Sousa. I know he's a favorite, but I think he wins this fight, and I wouldn't even be shocked if he puts the nail in the coffin of Richie Miranda deep in this fight. We talked about the cardio, the body work. If you can't knock a guy out to the head, kick him in the gut. That's how you get a guy like that out of there. I could see another round 3 finish.
Here's the thing. I have a question for the chat first before I start this. Is Manuel Sousa the new CEO of EPO? Because this guy in the 3rd round does not seem to gas at all, even after withstanding takedown after takedown in this Contender Series fight specifically, being on bottom for so long. And then once he gets up, all right, it's time for me to terminate you. And he unloads, knocks the guy out. And same thing against Bolaji Oki. You see in that fight, they're going back and forth. I had it 1-1 going into that 3rd round, and Manuel Sousa is like, you know what? I don't even want this to hit the judges' scorecards. Even if it did, he would have won. But he goes and unloads again, knocks Bolaji Oki out clean. He did not know where he was when he woke up in that octagon. I just think that Manuel Sousa possesses a different type of power, a different type of skill set, and now that he's seen that guys are trying to take him down back-to-back fights, he's going to come prepared. And look, I am someone who trains in and out of Bloodline. I've never trained alongside Richie Miranda, so I don't really have much to say there, and all respect to him. It's just when you make this step up to the UFC, there's a couple things you want to take a look at when it comes to these prospects. How is their defense when it comes to the striking and grappling, and how is their offense when it comes to counters? For me, I just am not sold on Richie Miranda's striking defense. Just looking at the tape, this guy eats too many clean shots, and against a lesser power puncher, then maybe I would forgive that or overlook it just a little bit. Here, you cannot. In the 1st round, it'll be very telling just to see the reactions of Richie Miranda after he eats a few clean shots from Manoel Sousa, because I do imagine that it happens at a high frequency in every single round if it does go beyond the first or the second. Because I do think this is an early knockout from Manoel Sousa. It's a tee-up spot for him. I do think Richie Miranda will win fights in the UFC. I just think he needs to continue working on his striking defense and his overall just MMA grappling. He has a chin, but whenever we say someone has a chin, that really just means that they rely on their durability more than, we would like to. And he eats the clean shots and continues to walk forward, which, yeah, it's a good thing, but after X amount of fights, your chin's going to get cracked. Or you're going to face someone with just much more power than you're used to. Because if you look at Richie Miranda's last 5 fights, we're not really seeing too many people with power. Robert Verricchio, with all credit due to him, he's not really a power puncher. Ile Barzilay, good decision win, but Ile is not really known for knocking people out like that, or at least people of high level. Richie Lewis, same thing. Then you have Hugo Orouzan, not really familiar with him, and then Maicon Mendoza, who is 11-7 in the LFA right now. So I just think that this is a levels fight. I think Manoel Sousa going up to the Contender Series and having a fight in the UFC, that experience difference alone is what's going to set them apart. I just think it's a KO 1-2 for Manoel Sousa here. Okay.
KO 1-2 for Wiz, KO 2-3 for me. We're agreeing on the knockout here. -250 for Manoel Sousa. Man, I'm gonna be looking at those sub props though. I want to see what that Kimura. Yeah, man, I talked about it. Freaking Miles Johns is the fighter, Wiz, that taught me my lesson. Okay, Miles Johns is the fighter that I burned money trying to bet against, and then bitched on this podcast about how somehow he magically fixed his cardio. I don't give a shit anymore. You take EPO, I'm just going to put my money on you. I'm not going to complain about it. I'll just take the free cash. So yeah, I'm with you. Pump him full of EPO. Let's get that knockout. Let's keep it moving. I got to switch over my tabs here. We got too excited talking about that one, so I didn't queue up the next fight. That's my bad. Next up, we got big boys. Jose Montanha takes on Louie Sutherland. The Vanilla Gorilla is back.
This is our weekly punishment.
Yeah, right. I know. You know what though? I'm not entirely certain it's going to be so bad. Everyone is kind of worried about this fight. I'm kind of not. Louie Sutherland is 32 years old, 1-2 so far in the UFC. I couldn't believe it, man. The UFC literally brought this guy in to get Tai Tuivasa a win, and that's how far Tai Tuivasa has fallen in the year of our Lord 2026. He got mauled and decisioned by Louie fucking Sutherland. This guy's just a ball. He's basically Butterbean. He can kind of, without the power, he can kind of wrestle a little bit. He's just your big, strong heavyweight that throws big, thick man power punches, and that's what got him here. People on the regional can't handle a man that size. He's not good. There's nothing good about him. He's just very physical, and he can wrestle a little bit. So he's a fill out the roster type of guy. He's not going to be anything special. He'll go 1-4, 1-5, and they'll still bring him back for another fight because they don't have heavyweights. That's the kind of guy we're dealing with here. Jose Montanha, 6-1, 29 years old. He was originally booked to make the UFC, I think, back in 2025. He's had not one but 2 opponents withdraw. This guy was supposed to be in the show already, and it wasn't him withdrawing. It was his opponents pulling out. He's a BJJ black belt. He looks like he's very physical, looks like he's very strong. The thing I liked about his tape is it seems like he knows where his bread is buttered. It seems like he knows, I'm a BJJ guy. I need to get this fight to the ground. He's not going to look to go out there and play too much on the feet or anything like that. He likes to bully his way into his opponents and then just kind of maul them straight down to the ground. And the way he transitions to the mount, I was very impressed. He's like, I'm not playing from half guard. He moves immediately to dominant positions when he gets the opportunity to. Really good ground and pound. And everything is power chokes, man. Rear naked choke, arm triangle, like these big fat man chokes where you just get on top of your opponents and leave them no space to move. And he does it jiu-jitsu style, right? Not wrestler style where I'm just going to overpower you, but like jiu-jitsu, boa constrictor, small adjustment. You already made the mistake. It's too late. You're not getting out now, kid. That kind of submission. I love fat man jiu-jitsu. I love heavyweight black belts, man. They're my favorite, right? Frank Mir was my first favorite fighter. Watching Frank be a submission specialist off his back at 265 pounds. That's the reason I walked into a jiu-jitsu gym in the first place, man. So I've always had a soft spot for these big, heavy grappler dudes. I think José could be in trouble if he stays on the feet, but even as I'm saying that out loud, Wiz, I don't know that that's true because Louie is just not that big of a threat standing at this level. You know, we could have, like you said, our weekly punishment. This could be a jab, stick, and move fest. These guys could just never hurt each other on the feet, both of them thinking they've got the advantage type of situation. But the reality is, I think eventually Louie's going to get knocked over, and I think he's going to get subbed. I like the jiu-jitsu kid in this fight. You know, a lot of people are kind of staying away from this one, and I don't know that it's even going to be all that competitive. I'm actually surprised that Jose Montana is the underdog here. Louie Sutherland is minus 155. Jose Montana is plus 130. And for a guy who should have made his UFC debut a year ago, the UFC is giving him a guy that got Walter Walkered. Like, Louie doesn't know shit about grappling. This seems like a layup to me. Wiz, what am I missing?
Here, man, in the big 2026, they're still making matchups like this. Is my issue. In the big 2026, we have Montanha versus Sutherland, and I'll be honest, not the strongest thoughts on this fight for obvious reasons. It is the 1-800 gambler fight of the week, in my opinion. There may be one more, but
that's this whole card, man.
Look, here's the thing: Sutherland is so bad, and he's still the favorite, which should say a lot about Montanha. Like, he could come out and look like Mike Tyson in here and drop Sutherland, get a takedown, and insta-sub him, and I will look like a complete idiot saying that. But from what I see right now and what I see on tape, man, Sutherland being a favorite is saying a lot about Montanha. In the striking, I think it's going to be Sutherland all day. Not by a wide margin. It's still Louie freaking Sutherland at the end of the day, who's very slow and doesn't really, I don't think he has the capability of throwing straight shots. He just wings these hooks. And he has a decent leg kick. Like, I'll give him that. He can chop the legs a little bit. But I just, for me, when I'm looking at betting a side or an angle at least, I would rather not fade, dumpster fire with dumpster fire when it comes to fighters. I would just rather stay away. I think that Montanha could find success in the grappling if he goes to it early, which in his tape he kind of does, but against lower level competition, albeit. So I'm not the most confident that he will go ahead and do that. Will the UFC bright lights get to him? That's also another thing. When you take a look at his record, he's fought in like some random promotions in Brazil, which this, I believe, is going to be his first fight here in the United States. So having him fly all the way from Brazil to here for the first time, it's a huge distance between the two countries. And I feel like that could affect him. Or he might come out there and just show us what he's made of. I personally just don't really have too much thoughts on this fight. I think it's Sutherland or pass, and I'm passing. I choose for my mental sanity to stay intact, so that way I can make better decisions for the rest of the card. Old Wiz will definitely bet this fight. It's like I would see the 1-800 gambler fights. I'm like, the 1-800 Wiz fights. It's time for me to make some money and to have some fun, or both.
I hear you.
Please don't bet this fight. It's a tough one to call, but for the show, I'm gonna go ahead and predict Sutherland to win a very boring kickboxing decision.
Okay, so we got a little bit of disagreement on this one. I'm definitely dog or pass on this one, and Wiz, I am tempted to bet it just because, like, I know the low level, I know it's bad, I know it's sketchy, but he's 29 years old from Brazil, which means he's probably training, improving, and juicing every single day, and he's been off for a year. So I feel like we could get an updated version of him. I'm not expecting, Conor McGregor level movements all of a sudden on the feet or anything like that. But if he makes an improvement since our tape, I'm not going to be shocked. And I don't think he needs improvement to be able to take down this guy and submit him just based on what I've seen. He's a brown belt. He knows how to get people to the mat. I think that's all it takes. So I actually am tempted to bet the underdog here in this one. I know what you're saying, that does speak volumes, that the odds maker would make this guy plus money taking on Louie Sutherland. But I might take that leap of faith that he's improved a little in the off season, and Louie is kind of a finished product at this point.
Clint, in the big year of 2026, we do not let friends bet on Louie Sutherland versus Enrique Montanha.
That's fair. That's fair. I got a win streak to protect with, so we'll see. Maybe we'll end up passing on it. This is one of those cards where you got to pick your spots carefully, ladies and gentlemen. Next fight up. Speaking of picking your spots carefully, Diyar Nurgozhay returns against Bruno Lopes. What a dumpster fire was. This is certainly a fight. I can't believe we have got a matchup here like this in the good year of our Lord 2026. Boy, Diyar Nurgozhay was supposed to be my boy Juicebox's path to a UFC win. That I'm so pissed. To this day, I'm so pissed. My boy was supposed to get the softball matchup and he pulled out. Made me real pissed off when I heard that one. Diyar is 11-2, 29 years old, 1-2 so far off Dana White's Contender Series. Saved his career in his last fight by getting a win. Man, he got fraud checked by Brenson Hibario. Like, who loses to Brenson Hibario by Kimura, no less? It was just an awful look on this dude's part. He was in control and just ran out of gas. Literally could not overpower Brenson Hibario deep in the fight. Massive red flags, Wiz. He got Ezekiel choked by Uran Salty Balls, which just awful. Even worse. Nobody in the UFC should be Ezekiel choked, right? Even if you're facing the boa constrictor, nobody should get Ezekiel choked at this level. One thing everyone likes to pinpoint about this guy is he's got like Tourette's to some extent. Like he's got a tic. So he does that thing where he like touches his face a whole lot. And I'm not trying to be detrimental to him or like talk down on him or anything like that. Obviously, he'll whip my ass even with the tic. But at the UFC level, I got to feel like, higher up the level, people are going to be able to time that shit. He's probably going to end up eating some shots that he probably shouldn't otherwise because of him doing that. He's always moving his hands around and, I don't know, maybe you can use that as a feint instead and turn it into an advantage. But I have a hard time seeing that as any kind of a positive for him when he's fighting. He's also very low volume. He does have good outside footwork. I'll give him credit where it's due, but he just kind of looks for power shots and he throws like empty volume at his opponents. He is basically heavyweight Caitlin Chukagian. Like this guy fills the air in front of him with strikes that do nothing. And then he'll end up landing a shot, but he's not a big enough power puncher to like really make it count. So he just kind of slowly, low pace grinds his way through the fight. I do not think that he's very good. Bruno Lopes is 14-3, 33 years old. He's also 1-2 off Dana White's Contender Series. Everybody on this fucking card is 1-2 in the UFC, Wiz. Like there's no winning record so far on this damn card. Lopes is a 2 times Dana White's Contender Series guy, which I think automatically makes you a fade moving forward. He also got Brenson Hibario'd in round 1. This man lost to Brenson Hibario. He beat Magomed Fradziasulov in his UFC debut. Good on him, but he hasn't won since. He's gotten finished in back-to-back fights, and one of those was just that brutal knockout where we kind of were led to believe that maybe Dustin Jacoby still had a little gas in the tank because he knocked this dude out in the first round. Kind of starting to think that maybe it was just because this guy fucking sucks. So coming off back-to-back finish losses, he keeps a high pace. He's a very capable scrambler. I do like his grappling, which that could kind of be his path to victory here, considering how bad his opponent is on the mat. He does like to work from the body lock. He's just a wild man, though. Nowhere near a technician, right? This is a bum fight, Wiz. This is a couple of big, greasy, heavyweight bums that they're going to throw into the center and go, fuck it, you figure it out. Like, this is not a good fight, but I will say at least it should be fun. Like, there's something we can take some sick pleasure in watching sloppy heavyweight fights where somebody gets finished in the first or second round. That's kind of what I'm expecting here. Diyar Nurgozhay somehow is the favorite at -145. Bruno Lopes 125, the underdog. 1.5 total. You can get plus money on the under 1.5. I don't mind that. I kind of feel like an under makes a little bit of sense in this spot. And I'm actually leaning towards the dog, Wiz. I know both of these guys suck. Both of them suck. but I feel like Lopes on the ground is a bigger advantage than Nurgozhay has on the feet, if that makes sense. So slight edge to the grappler, but boy, you guys, Wiz was talking about not letting your friends bet on the last fight. Nobody should be putting their money on this fight, Wiz.
Are we sure about that?
Oh boy. Uh-oh. All right. Hit me with it.
Here's the way I broke this fight down. Yes, Lopes has no chin. Anybody could knock this guy out, it seems. He's just on the feet. He seems to be very lost and not the most defensively responsible. He will have to look to get this fight to the ground, but we just haven't seen too much of that in the UFC. For me, I think it's either a sub for Lopes or he loses this fight, because if he's not successful in taking this fight to the ground, I do think that Diyar is the much better striker. He's going to be a lot faster than Lopes, in my opinion, and at least will land accurately. He does have that tick, which, man, even like Diego Lopes, I started to shy away from betting his fights just because of the tick, and didn't go as heavy as I wanted to in his last matchup against Steve Garcia because of the tick. Because sometimes when you have that kind of tick, like you said, you can start to time it, and these higher level fighters will be able to time it. Is Lopes high level enough in the striking to time a tick? I don't think so. Lopes also, in terms of grappling or getting the fight to the clinch in the UFC, that's really been his bread and butter, which is the clinch. And anytime he would go for sweeps or the leg drag takedowns, it just would not work out for him. And I don't think it works here against Nurgozhay either. But if it does land on the ground, I think it's close to an insta-sub as we get, because Lopes is leaps and bounds better than Brenton Ribeiro on the ground. Benson Ribeiro found a freaking, what was it? It was a Kimura from bottom. Are you kidding me? Kimura from bottom is crazy. And then against Uran Sati Baldiev, first, Sati Baldiev almost had, what was it? There was one submission he almost had before he got the Ezekiel choke. I think it was a Kimura as well. Let go of it, scrambled, got the Ezekiel choke. And I had a bet on Sati Baldiev in that fight, and not in my wildest dreams was I predicting a submission win for Uran. Like that was just out of question. Now, I think Diyar can piece Lopes up on the feet, but when this fight hits the mat, it's going to be a problem for Diyar. So I think it's either KO Diyar or sub Lopes, and I was not going to bet a side, but I will be betting violence. And
I like
if we take a look on the big Bet Online and the big year of 2026, fight does not go to decision is oh, it's minus 250. So that maybe would be a parlay leg for me if I were to go for it, but maybe not under 1.5. Under 1.5 maybe a little bit too sweaty for my liking, because these guys can drag it out. They're both somewhat gas bags, and I do think it could end up going to the third round, but I don't think this goes to decision at all. So, yeah, fight doesn't start round 3 like Mancave is mentioning. That doesn't sound too bad either. If you can get under 2.5 at decent prices, that's also a shout. But I'm going to lean towards Diyar and Diyar ITD more than Lopes and Lopes ITD or sub, because I do think that it's the more likely of the two outcomes. I think that Diyar finds the knockout here within the first 2 rounds.
We are disagreeing on this entire card, guys, and I kind of love it. This is fun. I lean the other way. I think the sub, we agree on violence, Wiz. We agree on violence. One thing I do got to show you guys, though, I'm in trouble, apparently. My wife heard me. Let me see. I got to get this angle here correct. My wife heard me talking about the... heard me talking about Ravena Oliveira. She goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I said, "A gorgeous Brazilian with dark hair." She goes, "The opposite of me, Wiz. I know my place." I texted back redhead supremacy. But she sent me the gif of the ginger kid from the Goonies. Or no, Sandlot, the one that needs the CPR. So
that's too good.
Always, man, happy wife, happy life, you guys. I'm too loud for my own good talking about the banger Brazilians on this card. Like, I gotta keep it down. It's okay. Jillian Robertson's coming up next week. We'll be all talking about the redheads for for the next little bit. Oh, I'm in the doghouse. All right. Next up, you guys, next fight. That's the last fight. What am I doing? See, I got in trouble and now I'm all bent out of shape here. That's what gets me every single time. Stephen Asplund takes on Guilherme Pat. We got a bunch of big fat guys that kind of suck on this card, Wiz. This is the my entire it's like my entire graduating class on, on this fight card. I love concrete, boys. This is a Steve Asplund podcast. This is Steve Asplund fan show right here. We love ourselves some concrete. This dude is everything you could want in a fighter, Wiz. First off, an inspirational story of a man who saved his life turning to MMA, lost a ton of weight. He's funny. He does the self-depreciating jokes, which I do that. I appreciate the self-depreciating jokes. And then he's just a badass. He wants to get in there and swing heavies. He wants to bite down on the mouthpiece and have a fun fight. And he just knocks people the fuck out.
This is exactly how we thought this might go. Asplund with the knockdown.
Fight back! Stop!
Stephen Asplund.
Stay here!
Steve Asplund is my spirit animal, man. I love this dude. I'm really hoping that he can level up to some extent because as much as he is a fun guy to put on these cards, he does need to improve if he's going to have a long UFC career, but he might have death touch level power, Wiz. He might. We'll see. It's too early to call, but he definitely has some serious hands. 28 years old, 1-1 so far in the UFC. He had his 4-fight win streak snapped by Vitor Petrino, and that was a insane fight where they went back and forth and they rocked each other, and Asplund ate some heavy leather and just refused to die and kept coming forward. He won his UFC debut. He won his Dana White's Contender Series in 16 seconds. This man refuses to quit on himself, and he's got a hell of a chin. He just walks forward and he keeps throwing. He's got nice elbows in close. I put in my notes that he kind of reminds me of like a fat heavyweight Trevor Peek. He doesn't do like the insane tomahawk punches or anything like that, but the same kind of ballpark. I like this guy on a personal level. I'm cheering for him outside of just being, a fight fan. Guilherme Pat, 6-1, 32 years old. He's also 1-1 here in the UFC. He was supposed to fight on Dana White's Contender Series, but he ended up getting the call straight up from LFA. He won his UFC debut against Alan Fry, managed a decision, and honestly looked god-awful doing it. It was one of those fights, Wiz, where kind of like Alexander Rakic last week, he was just more athletic. Like that really made the difference. He saved himself by being a better athlete because he had a little bit better footwork, because he was a little bit quicker. That's what decided that fight. I wasn't impressed at all. And then in his second fight, he lost to Thomas Peterson, which I very happily faded him there in that fight. I was banking on the win-loss alternating Thomas Peterson record. Came home, no problem. This guy's low volume. He's got a decent jab. It's kind of like a spear with how long his freaking arms are. He has a good kicking range, but it's all show muscles in my opinion, Wiz. Like this guy spent his life at Muscle Beach, right? Curling in the gym. That's what my high school coach always used to call it. He would call it Muscle Beach when you would use the free weights and work on your biceps and triceps. We all had to get out of Muscle Beach and go use the squat rack. He's got fraud written all over him. Like I said, athletic, fast hands. I don't think he wants to get hit. I don't think he likes to fight. You know what I mean? He's one of these guys that looks like he's got it, but once he gets in there with someone who really wants a fight, he ain't it. He's a can crusher. You know, when you look at his LFA run, his best win was a guy that was 3-1, and that guy is 4-8 now. He's got a big height and reach advantage over most of his opponents, and I think he just kind of uses that to grease by these lower level dudes. I think Pat is a complete fraud, Wiz. A complete fraud. And on top of that, you guys, we could salvage this if he was 28. You know, if you're like, he's just a freak, he's an athletic monster, he'll build, he'll grow. He's 32, Wiz. This is Pat. Like, he's not going to turn some corner at 32 years old and become a different fighter. I like Asplund, Wiz. I like Asplund to make this a dogfight. I like Asplund to refuse to fuck off. I don't think Pat hits hard enough to really scare a guy like Asplund. And even though he will have that athleticism advantage, like we talked about, I just don't think Pat's going to be able to get Asplund off of him. Eventually, it won't matter. Yeah, I mean, Asplund is minus 270. Not a number that I like with a guy that fights the way he does. But like I said, I think Pat's a fraud. I'll pick Asplund to win this one.
I definitely see your point. Here's the thing. Yes, Pat is pretty low volume. Doesn't really have a grappling threat. Does tend to gas a little bit. The issue in Asplund's case here is that Asplund does not threaten the takedowns or threaten the grappling at all. I'm not saying that he has to, but it really benefits Pat that he does not have to worry about someone shooting on him. Because Pat does have some pretty good power when he does unload and when he does land. And Asplund's really there to be hit. His hands are down, which helps him hide his shots and helps him land some volume. But also, on the other hand, it really leaves you vulnerable to counters. It leaves you vulnerable to big shots. And you're just not that defensively sound, or not as defensively sound as if your hands were even right under your chin or right above the chin. So there's that to it. Asplund's going to be the much more active striker. He's going to be throwing more volume. He probably is going to land more volume here. But I do feel like Pat, yes, this is really speaking about his winning condition. It's to land a heavy. I just think he can do it here. I don't think he is going to feel shy when it comes to throwing the power hand, since there is no grappling threat coming on from the other side. And maybe Asplund has taken too many, wars. He's been taken to the third round and bloodied quite a bit in the UFC and in the LFA. I remember when he lost to Denzel Freeman. Yes, that was more a wrestling-based domination there from Denzel. But even in other fights, he just gets beat up in the process of him winning. You see the damage. It's visible on his face. He's usually bleeding. And he's an entertaining fighter. That's all he's been known to be. In the UFC, in the big UFC, his last fight against Vitor Petrino, it was a back-and-forth war. Yes, he dropped Petrino in the first round, technically, and was looking pretty decent. Maybe even had a case to win that fight. He still got pretty beat up. And in the fight against Sean Sharaf was landing in that first round. And I think he buzzed Asplund for a second. And then, Asplund put it on him. Sean Sharaf, not really known for his cardio, making his debut as well. I believe it was on short notice. Couldn't keep up the pace. And that's usually how Asplund wins. He puts on a hellacious pace that most fighters can't keep up. But he's too much of a dog, and he will keep up with the pace. His cardio checks out. Pat has the better striking, in my opinion. He's going to be the faster striker here. And if he lands on the chin, I think that Asplund's liable to get hurt at least. And another advantage that he has here is the calf kicks. And I think that's really where it lies.
Ooh.
If Pat utilizes his calf kicks here, A, it's going to slow down Asplund. And B, it's going to make any of those punches, no matter if they're a lot of volume, not really feel like they're too threatening because the power is kind of zapped from that front leg. If any of you guys who do boxing or do mixed martial arts, kickboxing, you know that if you take away that front leg, you're really not going to feel those punches at all. And it ruins the ability to jab, which is one of Asplund's biggest weapons. So for all those reasons, I'm willing to take the dog shot here on Guilherme Pat. I'm willing to take KO1 as well because I think that's his win condition. KO1 and then a sneaky shot on decision in case this fight does extend. He does end up dropping Asplund twice in the first two rounds, once and once, or wins based off of damage. I think that maybe a sneaky decision plays out here, a boring decision.
Okay. Well, that's bold, my friend. That is bold. I do, however, really like your comment on the calf kicks. That is something, it's like body shots. We've seen the toughest guys ever go down to body shots and calf kicks if they don't know how to defend it. And that definitely is something a guy like Concrete could definitely be susceptible to. Just trying to walk forward and swing hands, not really thinking about the defensive aspect of it. That's an interesting call. I am not going to be taking that dog shot with you. I will pick my boy Concrete Steve Asplund. But Do I want to lay damn near minus 300 on him? That's the part I don't know if I can get to. Even picking him to win, he's not a good enough fighter, I don't feel like, for me to get to a minus 300. And even, you guys know me, I've parlayed some really god-awful low-level people. I'm trying to do that less. Like last week is a perfect example with like Leka, where there were a lot of questions surrounding him. The gap in skill was just so insane in that fight that to me it felt justified. The gap in skill is upside down in this fight. Like, you're laying chalk on the tough guy. You're laying chalk on the guy who wants to make it dirty and turn it into a brawl. And while I will do that with fighters like Dricus du Plessis or Benoit Saint-Denis, where it's like there's skill and then they've packaged it in this monster, they can make up for a skill deficit. I don't think Asplund falls into a Benoit Saint-Denis or a Dricus du Plessis box. So I think he's a fun guy. He's an action guy. I think he can wear down Pat and he can find a late KO. Wiz, I'd rather live bet this one. I'm going to watch this one very, very closely because I think if Pat's going to have success, it's going to come early. And I think that Asplund is going to have to tough it out and then make it greasy the later this fight goes, or find a late finish to kind of save himself in this fight. Obviously, he could just walk forward, crack this guy, put him on his ass, sit him down, fraud check him completely. That's my hope. That's what I would love to see. I would either bet a KO prop if I can get a reasonable number, not like an Eros Medic minus 250 KO prop, or I'll be looking for a live bet on this one. Deeper as it goes. We'll have to pay attention next week, you guys. Real quick, I want to shout out Spectation Sports, you guys. Of course, Spectation Sports is the fastest growing regional show in the game. LFA prelims are on Spectation Sports. They had a banger fight this past weekend. They are back. They've got, I believe, 3 fights coming up this weekend alone. If you're looking for some offbeat shows, right? If you're done with the UFC, especially on those morning cards, but you need some more MMA, you will find action on Spectation Sports every single damn week. They've got Friday shows. Every once in a while, they'll have morning shows and late shows. On Saturday, they've got regional amateur events. They've got kickboxing. It's a mixed bag. There's all kinds of action to be had here. So if you're an MMA junkie, please get signed up with Spectation Sports. Use the link in the description below. Promo code DIEHARD will get you 20% off when you sign up. And next week is the return of Dana White's Contender Series, you guys. And there are at least 8 fighters from Spectation Sports that are going to be on Dana White's Contender Series. I've been talking to you guys about this for months. If you need to do your tape study for these guys, if you're looking to bet on Dana White's Contender Series, you're going to have Spectation Sports to watch some of these guys' most recent fights. So please check out Spectation Sports. And of course, one big thing you guys can do to help me out, give them a follow, especially on Twitter. Get some of those numbers up for them. That'll go a long way for me kind of contributing as a member of the team. They post a whole bunch of highlights and stuff like that from the shows. Trust me, if you like MMA, you'll love it. It's worth your time. Get on Spectation Sports for social media. We're back, you guys. UFC Vegas 120. Oh, and Abe, my man Wiz knows what's up. Abe El-Sagir, one of my favorite prospects from the Spectation Sports banner. That dude's a fucking monster. He's on week 1. He's on week 1.
Oh yeah, and he's gonna win that fight.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, you guys, Tommy McMillan, Ezra Elliott, like those are guys that came out of Spectation Sports, and now you've got like Abe McMillan walking in here. Of course, Torres Finney was a Spectation guy. So like, there's some fighters that there's some serious up and coming talent that and then there's a bunch of people who you don't know that are right around the corner. So please check it out. I am so hyped. I'm glad you said that because I am so hyped about Abe El-Sagir making his Dana White's Contender Series debut. That guy's a beast.
You guys ask us, Big Wiz, Big Clint, how do you guys become more of a ball knower? You guys have to download Spectation Sports and really understand elite ball. And that's how you get to understand elite ball. They have some of the... for me, I use it most when LFA has their early prelims because it's only on Spectation. So shout out to them, and I feel like it's a very underrated service.
Appreciate it, my guy. Appreciate it. Glad you're part of the squad here. Hey, shout out my man Zach in the chat. Says Clint won't be here long. Starting a new job tomorrow. Congratulations, my friend, on the new job. I hope you got a raise to go with it. He says, happy to see you in the baby blues again. I'm ready to lose money on the older fighter in Gamrot again this week. Appreciate you for tuning in, my friend. Get some rest. Get some sleep. Hey, school starts tomorrow for the kids, right? My daughter's headed back to school, so I get it. New jobs, big day. I hope you have a wonderful, smooth day for your first day on the job. And I hope when that paycheck hits your bank account, it makes all the difference there for you. Really appreciate it. And shout out my guy Sal for also spreading the love here. Looking for that like button. I appreciate you guys. All right, we're back. We're back in action. Ty Miller takes on Billy Ray Goff in this next fight. Ty Miller, a really exciting young prospect. This dude is 7-0, 26 years old. They call him the Thriller. Ty the Thriller Miller. That's good. That's good shit. That's a good one. He's from the LFA as well. This is the LFA card for whatever reason, I guess. He's 1-0 in the UFC off Dana White's Contender Series, and that 1-0 was impressive as hell.
Right hand. Oh! Hugie can't get out of the way of that right hand. Hugie trying to survive the final 10. Ty Miller pouring it on. Oh! There's a knee and a left hook. That was it. Right before the gun.
This guy won with 1 second on the clock. And Wiz, it was a great night. I was actually hanging out with my father-in-law, and I got him. He wanted to do like a crazy ass parlay. So I didn't even have it on like my official card or anything like that, but I built like a psycho parlay for him, and I hit a big score for him that night. Ty Miller round 1 was in the parlay. By 1 second, got it done. Can't have Pops getting mad at me for having a bad pick. So I owe Ty Miller a debt of gratitude. But man, he reminds me of like maybe a more technical version of Tommy McMillan. He wants to come forward. He stays behind the jab. It's all range, but it's way more technical and less chaotic than a guy like McMillan. I really love the way this guy fights. He knows how to use his length, and he's got a really snappy jab. He's got clean boxing in the pocket. And as you guys saw there, he's got decent pop on his hands too. You know, for a guy that doesn't have like one hitter quitter power, he really mauls people and like busts their face up with just relentless volume and damage. He's always cutting angles. He was a Golden Gloves boxer. He throws in combos. I really like this guy. And on top of that he was battle tested pre-UFC. A lot of the guys he fought against were like positive record guys, you know, not the cans where it's, you know, 2-5 and shit like that. Like he was beating people who were winning on the regional scene to get here. I think Ty is a very exciting prospect, and he could be something. Billy Ray Goff is 9-4. He's 28 years old. He's 1-2 off Dana White's Contender Series. He lost the decision to Trey Waters, and that was kind of a red flag to me. I don't think much of Trey Waters. Obviously, the height and the reach, that's kind of a problem for a lot of people, and he couldn't quite figure that puzzle out. I'm not going to hold that too much against him, but just in general, I'm not a Trey Waters guy. Then he was a Ramiz Brahimaj victim. Ramiz, my boy, huge underdog in that spot. Billy Ray was a big favorite, and he got handled. Just relentless forward pressure from Billy Ray. Another guy that uses his jab pretty well, but he likes to crash into range. You know, he likes to attack the body. He likes to bully people up against the fence. And he's a guy that relies on his durability to kind of close that gap. That's where I mentioned the struggles with Trey Waters is he doesn't really have an answer for that reach. He just plows his way through and tries to make it work for him.
He can take a shot.
And look at him still.
That's nice.
More throwing combos.
High output slip there.
He's just got to be careful throwing that inside kick. But
This-
I love.
He cuts off the cage well. He mixes it up to the body well, and he's a junkyard dog, Wiz. Billy Ray is a really fun guy to watch fight. The thing here is, I think that Ty Miller is just an A++ version of Trey Waters. I think he's going to have the same problems he had against Trey Waters. And unless he can really hurt this guy with something big, something early, I think Ty's going to pick him apart. Now, Billy Ray is tough. Billy Ray is relatively durable. This might be a decision for Ty Miller, but I also wouldn't be shocked at like a late finish if he's able to just kind of death by 1,000 cuts him and wear him down over the course of the fight. But I got to go Ty Miller on this one. Uh-oh. We might have another Nintendo Switch situation. Wiz, you still with me? There he is. We got you. You're here. Yep, you're good.
All right, cool. Yeah, I just think this is a very tough fight for Billy Goff. I am a Ty Miller truther. I believe that this guy has a really good skill set for his age, and his boxing is just so clean. He's going to be the much bigger fighter. He's also going to be the younger fighter in this case by 2 years. 5-inch reach advantage, 4-inch height advantage. Like, his boxing is going to be light years ahead of Billy Ray Goff, and yes, he's tough. I just think that when you land the way Ty lands, you're gonna get hurt, and especially against someone who's as defensively a liability as Billy Ray Goff, I think that it's gonna spell trouble. Ty Miller by first round knockout is what I'm predicting on this fight. Yes, he's more known to be a knockout artist in terms of attrition, but I just think that he's going to find the button against Billy and shut his lights out. Billy has no defense, and you saw in that clip that you showed against Yusaku Kinoshita, this guy is throwing the jab 3 times in a row without returning his fist to his freaking chin, leaving his whole left side exposed to that counter right hook. If only Yusaku Kinoshita knew how to pivot out of the jab shot and hit him with that signature hook that he does have in his arsenal, it would have been a different story. But he was going 1, 2, 3 going forward. His legs almost got crossed over in that clip too. I just think it's trouble. He'll find him off balance, whether it's a knockdown from damage or just from being off balance. He'll follow up and find a TKO on the map. So give me Ty Miller by round 1 knockout.
Wow, calling the round 1 KO, but you know what, Wiz? We finally agreed. We finally agreed on a pick here. I know, right? Took us almost the whole damn show, but we got there. We agree on Ty Miller here on this one, and I think I might do a little 2-legger, Wiz. I don't have any action locked in before the podcast this week, but Miller and Sousa is like minus 130. I like that. That might be the first action for me on the show here. I might parlay those two up. Those are my two favorites on this card to this point, and the price is reasonable. That might be the first action. All right, let's move it along. We got Amanda Lemos, and she takes on Alexia Thainara. I really like this fight, but I am also very scared. My boy Vinzi in the chat says Miller and Asplund Clint tail me. I might have to, Vinzi. I trust you, buddy. I trust you. And we agree on the sides on that one. So I might just have to tail you on that one. Man, Wiz, what happened to my Amanda Lemos? She just was a ball of fury when she made it to the UFC. She's 15-6-1. She's 39 years old. I mean, she was old when she got here. She was kind of a freak of nature when she walked in the door in the UFC. But she's been fighting the who's who of this weight class. Marina Rodriguez, Wiley Zhang, Mackenzie Dern, the current champion, Verna Jandiroba, the most recent title challenger, Tatiana Suarez, a gold medalist, Jillian Robertson, the next title challenge. Like, she's fighting at the tippy top of this weight class and has been for the last 2 freaking years. Her most recent win comes over Yasmin Lucindu, who I want to tell you guys was probably the most exciting prospect in this weight class. We love the Brazilian neck tattoo, right? That's the angle with her. 24 years old, really exciting. She popped. She managed to get in there against Amanda Lemos, and she popped for a whole bunch of PEDs immediately following that. So you got to kind of wonder what state she's in, that kind of thing. But we still managed to get a win with Amanda Lemos that night by being more physical, by being stronger, and just being able to out-hustle the young kid. It was pretty impressive. Amanda Lemos, the one thing, I mentioned this earlier when we got the dono with my boy Barry, she loves to pull guillotine, you guys. She loves to put herself in the worst position possible because she trusts how hard she can squeeze. She's got that choke a couple of times. I'm sure she gets it in training constantly. But at the UFC level, these high-level grapplers, they don't fall for that shit. So Jillian, Tati, Verna, literally worst case scenario for her. Literally worst case scenario situations for her, man. Good, strong, powerful grapplers who are backed up by jiu-jitsu that are not going to fall for the sub, that it's not going to fall for the chokes. It's crazy that she's got a win over Mackenzie Dern, and she could legitimately maybe be the UFC champion if she could just get enough wins together to get a rematch, to call for the title and get another crack at Dern. she might be your UFC champion, but the UFC has fed her these grapplers to kind of bury her recently and keep her away from that belt. Well, now she draws Alexia Thainara. And like I mentioned, you guys, just nonstop pace, nonstop grappling. My girl Alexia is 14-1. She's 28 years old. She's training with the Hebos family. So very good jiu-jitsu, very good wrestling, extremely strong. She gets a little crazy in there. She likes to kind of have some fun, showboat a little bit, but she's getting a massive leap up in competition here, man. She made her UFC debut against Molly McCann. She managed to work a decision on Loma Lukbunmi, which no hate there. Loma's a little undersized, but she's still a tough out for anybody. And then she's coming off beating Bruno Brazil. But this is a gigantic leap. Molly's cut. Loma's small. Bruna sucks. And now she's getting a contender, a legitimate contender. And she is a big, fat, juicy favorite. It worries me a little bit, man. This is the one where I've been on this prospect for all 3 fights. I've been singing her praises. I'm telling everybody how good she is. But the jump in competition and the number scare the shit out of me. She's a minus 240 favorite here. She should just be able to out-hustle Amanda Lemos. She should just be able to out-grapple Amanda Lemos. She should be able to survive that guillotine choke like we've seen the last 2 or 3 women do. This should be Alexia Thainara by decision, you guys. But my hand was, I got that shake. I'm a little nervous because this is the first time she's going to fight somebody who can actually threaten her. This is the first time she's going to fight somebody who can send her head into the 3rd row. So I just recognize the danger and it makes me a little concerned. If I'm going to bet this, I'm probably just going to do like a single shot on Thainara by decision as opposed to like a parlay or anything like that. She's still my girl. I'll pick her to win. I'm not sure I'm getting to the window. What are you doing here, Wiz?
I definitely hear you. And similar concern. Like, yes, Lemos is going to be 11 years older at 39, but does still have that power. And the issue for me when I think of that is also she hasn't really sent anyone's head flying since she sent Marina Rodriguez's head flying in 2022. That's her last knockout on her record. So a lot of it has to do with, yes, in fights, if she lands, she does hurt these girls. It's never going to be fight ending, which is what makes me feel a little bit better about, wanting to play the Thainara side here. She's going to have a massive grappling advantage, and if she gets it there, she should be able to submit Amanda Lemos. Yes, Lemos does have a solid submission defensive game, but I just think that Thainara is going to put her through a washing machine like other girls haven't. And yeah, while on the feet, Lemos will have a massive striking and power and strength of schedule advantage. But almost 40 at this weight class has been pulling Gilly a ton in terms of her takedown defense. I don't like that. I just personally wouldn't want to go near either side. I would rather live bet this to see if, Amanda Lemos has a good first round. It gives me an opportunity to live bet Thainara at a better number, because I do think eventually it does end up on the mat. And once she gets Amanda Lemos on the mat, even if she doesn't find a submission, she's going to wear out her gas tank and make it that much easier to get the takedown in the 3rd round. So for me, it's Thainara or pass when it comes to moneyline side, but I would rather you wait to play it live in case that first round is a bit hairy.
Okay. Well, we're agreeing here that it is Alexia Thainara. I'm probably, and I've talked about this recently, this is something where when my fighters, the fighters I've been betting on and cheering for, the fighters I've capped perfectly for their first couple of runs, when they get that step up, I get real nervous that I'm like, oh God, like I'm not the best talent scout. What if I'm wrong? You know what I mean? Like this is where it all comes crumbling down and I get scared to go to war with my people. So maybe this is an opportunity for me to shake that off and just go to war with my girl, Alexia Thainara. And that's, it's a valid point though. We have seen Lemos submitted. The worst one was that standing arm triangle that she took. She's better since then. Obviously, she's worked on her grappling, but the submissions and the cardio are both things that other fighters have taken advantage of. So while I'm predicting decision, you're right. I'm kind of overlooking the sub just a hair. There is a chance that she could get the finish here in this one. So I'm just glad we're on the same side money line here for this one. We'll see what we end up doing by the end of the week. Shout out my man, Ethan Hershey, my friend. He says, what's up, Clint? Love you, man. After having a kid 2 months ago, I never get to tune in anymore. My friend, congratulations on the kid. That is a massive life change. I completely understand. I always thought I was going to have the white picket fence with the wife, with 2 kids running around. We had 1 and I went, fuck that shit. Never again. We're done. We're done with 1. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. By God, it was worth it. My daughter is absolutely my ray of sunshine. She is my life. She is my everything, but I didn't want to do it again. So I understand, my friend, just how tough those first couple of months are. I wish you well. I appreciate you stopping by. I hope mom is okay. Obviously, hope mom and baby are both healthy. Congratulations again. I will do my best when you're staying up late feeding. You can turn the podcast on. I'll be right here for you. And hopefully one of these days when things slow down a little bit, you'll come back around. You'll be able to catch the live show again like we used to, my man. Definitely looking forward to it. Appreciate you stopping by. And again, just congratulations. That's freaking awesome. Next fight up, you guys. We've got the return of Darren Elkins. He takes on Yadier del Valle. If this card wasn't dumpster enough, Wiz, we have a retirement fight for Darren Elkins, who just, I'm an all-timer. I'm an all-timer Darren Elkins. I'm the guy that bet on this dude live more times than I can count. The way he comes back, the way he cardios people, the way everyone counts him out and he punches his way back into it. I love Darren Elkins. That's my boy. But a retirement fight after what we saw in his last fight, I'm not expecting this to be pretty. And then Yadier del Valle, as much as, you know what, Wiz, I almost loaded a clip up for this one. In his last fight, I told everybody, look, this is the man who was in the Bulgarian files, right? This is the man responsible for the second biggest betting scandal in UFC history, right? So, yes, he got a round 1 submission over Isaac Bulgarian, but because that fight was so weird, don't get too high on him, don't get too low on him. Pre-UFC, I was very high on this kid. We cashed in on an inside the distance bet against Connor Matthews. Like I was already well aware of Yadier, and I was high on Yadier, and I like him as a prospect. He's got fast hands. He's a very good grappler. He's got great back control. He's got good submissions. I really like everything about this kid. But the win against Isaac Bulgarian was, and maybe not of his own fault, fraudulent. We can't count that win for what it actually is. So then he goes in there against Jordan Leavitt, and guess what? Jordan Leavitt overpowers this dude. That's not something many people were expecting. That was a crazy result for a lot of people. And I went, look, I refuse to bet this guy's next fight after the Isaac Bulgarian situation because I just don't know where to put him. I think Darren Elkins is a dead man walking in this fight, Wiz. The man who I love that used to come in here and used to just maul people with relentless pace and pressure and grappling. He could take the kitchen sink to the jaw and spit out a couple teeth and then come back and dump you on your ass and keep punching. That guy ain't there no more. He got clipped in his last fight with an up kick. A couple of minutes in, got a takedown, got clipped with an up kick. And that fight actually lasted for about another 2 minutes after that. Juliana Rosa couldn't quite find the kill shot. He never recovered. That was Darren Elkins' whole thing, Wiz. You hit him with something big, you can see it hurts him, but he recovered. He came back. He bounced back. Rosa had him wobbling all around the cage for 2 straight minutes. He was out on his feet the whole time. And it was just a matter of time before that kill shot hit. This is going to be a public execution. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It really is probably not going to be pretty. And even though Elkins is a very strong wrestler and a very strong grappler, he's dealing with a younger, bigger, hungrier version of himself in that aspect. And when this guy gets your back, Wiz, this guy knows what he's doing.
Dominating Matthews here.
Big shots, too.
Eso!
That's trouble.
He loves that rear naked choke, and he ground and pounds his way there. I think he will make sure Darren Elkins is not quite feeling his defense because his brain is going to be jiggling around in there the whole time. I hate to say it, but yeah, this is probably going to be Yadier round one. I wish I could ride with Darren Elkins one last time. I can't do it, man. Yadier is a minus 675 favorite in this spot. Darren Elkins is about plus 500. The total's 2.5. Under 2.5 is minus 260. You know, if you think Yadier is just a fraud check, or if you think maybe he's going to be in another weird fight type situation, yeah, maybe just bet the under. Maybe you could just bet the under, because if Elkins wins this thing, he's going to have to kill the kid. I don't see it happening, but I think Yadier round one, round two. And Wiz, hot take, I think he might knock him out. I think he might TKO him, get on his back, flatten him out. Or even if he doesn't want to take it to the ground, because that's where Elkins still is pretty good. This kid does have fast hands. I think he can just clip him boxing, and that'll be enough. I think the ref is going to be told before the fight starts, you don't let that dude take any more damage. I think they'll be quick on the trigger to save Darren Elkins this fight. So it's Yadier, and it's Yadier inside the distance, and I think it's Yadier early.
Man, I really feel bad for, whoever even came up with the idea of making this fight, because I think someone should have just saved Elkins from his own, wrongdoing here, participating in this fight and wanting to participate in a fight. Yes, it's his retirement fight, and everybody deserves that, but it's a little bit different in his case. He's taken so much damage over the course of his career that you almost feel sorry for what you're going to see. And it sounds terrible that I'm ruling him out this much, but it's just the case of him being 42 and not really being all there. You see in his last fight, did not really look all that good, did not really look good taking the damage, wasn't responding well against a guy like Juliana, who, does hit hard, is long, is lanky, but is also on the older side. Now you're going up against Yadier del Valle, who, was involved in one of the biggest scandals in terms of betting. I just think that he's going to punish him on the feet. Like, I think this could be a standing TKO in the first round, and I would not be surprised. There's no other way of putting it. I don't think the wrestling is going to work for Darren Elkins, and I just feel like Yadier is going to be way too fast for him. And at some point, he will get knocked out. And like you said, the trigger will be very, very short, and they're not going to hesitate to stop the fight at any sort of glimpse of Elkins, not responding well or wobbled, huge cut, which has so much scar tissue built up on his face already that any touch will open him up. So, it's no surprise. Yadier round one, in my opinion. Yeah.
I'm with you, man. It's tough. Being a fight fan in these types of situations is kind of the worst, because I don't mind the age-appropriate retirement fights. Give the old dog one last shot to get a win type of thing. Somebody else who's 1 or 2 fights away from retirement, that kind of spot. But, God, using him to build a kid that's got some controversy around him, an 11-2 type of prospect that's 10 years younger than him. It's just nasty, man. The fight business is the hurt game. And that's the aspect of it that I don't like, but I get it. I understand. I just wish they would send him out on top rather than trying to send him out in a box. He earned that. I feel like he's been a trooper for this organization for a long time. I feel like he deserves better on his way out, but here we go. We'll see. All right, guys. Co-main event of the evening. Billy Q returns, taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira. Billy Q moving on up to 155 pounds. Wiz, new dad Billy Q. He had a kid, so he's got that dad boost coming into this fight. We all know that's a real thing. Billy Q, one of the OG weaponized cardio fighters, Wiz. One of these guys that I've always enjoyed watching because he's a BJJ black belt. He's a volume striker. He's a action fighter, and he just melts people. He just gets in your face and is relentless. He's willing to take more than you can, and that's just fun to watch.
Billy's all over him. Oh, uppercut. That uppercut is beautiful.
Hernandez is busted up. He's battered. He's beaten right now.
He's busted up and he's drained with less than a minute to go.
Still able to fight for an underhook, but it's going to be a long 40
20 seconds.
Oh, this is a huge round for Billy Quarantillo.
Hernandez is still fighting back, though.
Big knees to the body.
It's over.
That's it. He got it. Unbelievable.
The elbows when he gets close, man, just filthy. The clenched knees, he just drags people into a war. That fight was so awesome because Alexander Hernandez, you could see at about the 2-minute mark of the second round, he took that first step backwards, and we was like, oh shit. It's like, here we go. As soon as you start moving backwards, Billy knows to just pour it on. So this is going to be interesting. He took a long time off. I actually thought he was retired. He took a bunch of time off, and he said that he was moving up to 155 the right way, filling out his frame and that kind of stuff. So I'll be very curious to see him when he gets on the scales on Friday, to see how much muscle he's actually packed on that body, how he transforms himself, how he looks different coming into this one. And I'll be curious to see if it affects his performance. You know, is he going to be able to be the cardio machine that he was? Did he put too much muscle on, and now he's got a bit of a different style? I'm going to be really curious about this fight. Now, his opponent, Diego Ferreira, got the hiccups all of a sudden for some reason. This old dog, 41 years old, man. We got another guy who's, to some extent, still got it. 2-2 in his last 4 fights. He won back-to-back fights by finish, and then he got out-hustled by Grant Dawson, which was really kind of a shock to me, considering he's a high-level BJJ practitioner and how much power he's got on the feet. I thought he'd be one of the people who could clip Grant Dawson and put him down, but Grant was able to just kind of outmaneuver him and do what he needed to do to get positive positions and then just grind away on him like he does everybody. His most recent loss came to Alexander Hernandez, and that was maybe one of the most interesting Alexander Hernandez fights we've seen in a long time, because he refused to come forward with. He stayed on his bike. He skated around the outside of the cage, and Diego had no answer for it. Diego was trying to cut him off, trying to stomp his way into range, trying to walk him down. And Alexander Hernandez just cut angles. He stuck, he moved, he ran. And it was kind of a really boring fight right up until the finish, because he timed a perfect shot to put the old man down.
Guy down that's moving this much. He's constantly in motion. And Diego's actually...
Oh, that's what he's been waiting for. He's been pulling him into that all night, DC. One shot at a time. And he got the finish. Nasty ground and pound. What are we waiting for? Hernandez, twice in a month.
The reason I bring that up more so than him just getting caught after getting kind of footworked around the cage was one of the worst stoppages we've seen in the UFC. The ref lets this guy get knocked out cold. He gets woken up by the second punch, knocked out again, and then eats 3 or 4 big, powerful shots, completely non-responsive. Guys, at 41 years old, that's the kind of KO that you don't come back right from. That's the kind of KO that takes what's left of your chin, what's left of your career. Wiz, I could never bet Carlos Diego Ferreira in this fight. Coming off a KO loss like that, being 4 years older, all the wear and tear on this guy's body. We've seen that chin give out before. And I think Billy Q, yes, sketchy, yes, questionable, but doing it the right way, taking a year and a half off, bulking up his body, making sure he's correct, moving up a weight class, coming in prepared. That guy still seems to have some gas in the tank. That guy is preparing correctly for his next fight. Whereas Carlos Diego is just kind of stepping back in there to do it again. And especially with the speed and the footwork, we saw Billy Q just 1-to-1, man. I know this is paper, rock, scissors for MMA, and that never works. But for the speed, for the footwork, we saw the way Billy was able to dance around Alexander Hernandez. And Hernandez was able to do that to Carlos. Billy Q is going to have an insane speed advantage in this fight. That's the dog of the week, Wiz. That's the Link Memorial Dog of the Week. I really don't understand why Billy is the underdog in this spot. I'm going to bank on that dad strength coming back with a kid to fight for. I'm going to bank on him moving up correctly, taking time off from the sport to heal, to recover, to improve, to transform your body. And I'm going to bet against the old dog, who I think his durability could just be completely done at this point. At 41 years old. Billy Q plus 140. That's the side for me.
Oh, man. You're going to hate what I have to say here. You're going to absolutely hate it. Look, I see the point, and it's definitely not a good look coming off of a knockout like that. It's just not. At 41 specifically, it's just not a promising sign. Billy Q coming off a huge layoff of almost 2 years here, moving up to 155, and this guy already did not have good striking defense. You're only going to lose speed when you go up to 155, gaining 10 pounds. And when your defense is already that bad, I don't expect it to get any better. And he will be exposed to counters. Like, Michael Johnson is someone that I rate very highly when it comes to MMA boxing. And yes, he was losing those first 2 rounds against Michael Johnson, but he was tagging him with counters, and Michael Johnson was eating them until he got put out by the one in the 3rd round. CDF will be the better grappler here, in my opinion. He will be the better striker, technically. And I think even in his 40s, he's going to make this look easy. Billy Q was soft at 145. Yes, he took the time off to build up to 155 and gain some muscle. I saw his Instagram. He looks the exact same, but just added a little bit of fluff on his body. He was soft to the body. He got hit to the body a lot and would, tend to gas out as the fight went on. Yes, he would put on a hellacious pace, but his last 2 fights, you would see him kind of went out in terms of the gas and slow. And adding an extra 10 pounds is going to make that happen quicker. He had a baby last week, which we don't know what kind of mindset that puts you in, whether it's like, oh, that new dad strength, or if it's more, oh, shoot, I'm exhausted from the sleepless nights. I'm not even counting on that. I think this is CDF by mauling. This is my most confident pick of the week and my plant the flag spot of the week.
Wow. Okay. So you were not joking. I really am not going to like what you have to say, which, by the way, the KO he was referencing, you guys, this one.
He's looking to counter. There you go.
Oh! Huge overhand right. Diego.
And that's why I said the old dog still got it. Wiz, you may have just scared me straight, my friend. I told you guys before the show, I have not put any money in on this card so far. I like that 2-legger parlay that I talked about. I'm probably going to be getting in there with my boy Benzi. Venzi on my that other 2-leg parlay. I was planning on making Billy Q the dog of the week. I may be pumping the brakes. Most of the time, you guys, so first and foremost, I make my own decisions. I always respect what my guests have to say. Like last week, I decided to bet on Luke Klein, even though my guest liked the dog in that spot. I've come to respect Wiz's plant my flag spot of the week. Now, nobody hits it 100%. It's not to say that he's for sure correct on this or anything like that. But when you've got a bet that's locked in, that confident, and I'm thinking maybe I'll bet this underdog, I'm not confident enough to go up against Wiz, plant my flag spot of the week. So I may end up reeling that one back in a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger after hearing my boys breakdown.
I just think overall, you look at the performances that CDF has put in at his ripe age of 41, it still shows that he's got it and he's performing at a high level. And that win against Mateusz Rebecki, like, that's not something to be overlooked. He took everything that Rebecki had to offer him and gave him back some in that 2nd and 3rd round. I just think that is one of the most underrated performances in the past couple of years. And then I think the second best one might be Rebecki versus Oralby. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be a very, very nice paycheck collection for Billy Q, but nothing more than that.
Okay. You guys, I'm canceling the dog of the week. I am canceling the dog of the week. We're not doing that shit. Especially because these are the kind of spots like last week with Klein coming off an injury, that kind of thing. If Billy is coming in just a softer version of himself, moving up a weight class, and it's all hype and bullshit in his interviews, like, I'm kind of relying on the man telling the truth in his interview with James Lynch. If that's not the case, I don't want to lose money on this kid. If he's really coming in for a paycheck, I don't want to have that be my dog of the week and have it bite us in the ass. So we'll pause. Let's wait until weigh-ins. Let's take a look and see if it is true, if he's just rolling off the couch for this one or not. We'll find out, but I'm pumping the brakes. Let's go to the main event, you guys. We've got Mateusz Gamrot, and he is taking on Quillan Salkilld in this spot. Mateusz Gamrot just proves time and time again, Wiz, that he is one of the premier talents in this weight class. At 35 years old, he can still grapple with the best of them. He is alternating wins and losses. He's 2-2 in his last 4. He's a guy that beats the challengers and then loses to the cream of the crop, right? He's got that split decision loss against Dan Hooker, which really could have gone his way, I feel like, but he lost to Beneil Dariush a couple years ago, and then Charles Oliveira took him out of there. But beyond that, he's beating pretty much everybody else. Just relentless pace, and he's really added a lot to that game. He ground and pounds a whole lot more now than he used to, and he's even added submission attacks into his repertoire. He understands he can't be boring in the UFC in 2026, and it seems like he's really working to... He's just a monster, Wiz. He really is just a monster. But the one thing I will say about Mateusz Gamrot is in his effort to become more exciting, he's become more willing to trade on the feet. And he's been wobbled a lot. I've been talking about this guy getting knocked out for a couple of years now, and it still hasn't happened. Like Charles ended up getting him via sub. I keep thinking someone's going to clip him on the jaw and put him out. Rafael Dos Anjos almost did it. I thought Esteban Ribovics was going to be the one to be able to do it, but that just, I've way overestimated Esteban Ribovics in his time in the UFC as a whole. So he was not nearly as good as I thought he was going to be. So he wasn't going to get it done either. But I still think Mateusz Gamrot is a little on the fragile side. And the older he gets, I think the more likely that's something that will come to pass. Quillan Salkilld was the UFC's 2025 Rookie of the Year. And he's just been a monster ever since then. With just no stopping this runaway train. This kid is something else. I actually thought he was a fraud. I will say it, Wiz. I have to apologize. I have to wear that as a mark of shame. I saw this kid's tape pre-UFC, and I was like, this ain't it. I could not have been more incorrect. 26 years old, 5-fight win streak, 4 of those coming in round 1 over some serious names in the UFC. Great frame, very tall, very long. He uses his reach really well. He's got a snappy jab. He likes to attack the body. He's got a good switch kick that he goes to the body. He goes to the head. He fights in combos. He's got good cardio. He's a decent grappler as well. I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of check every box with this guy. He's also pretty physically strong. When he took down Jamie Malarkey and choked him out, I was very impressed. I thought Jamie was the guy whose chin could give out at any minute. I wasn't expecting him to just get bodied, like literally body slammed and then choked out the way Quillan Salkilld did to him. And his most recent win, yes, Benny's a little chinny, but Beneil Dariush is always a good win. Like that name fills out any resume you could ask for. This guy is extremely, extremely good, and he's very, very dangerous. I think this is the one, Wiz. I know we're maybe getting disrespectful a little bit again of Mateusz Gamrot in this spot by making him the underdog, but I think the UFC knows what they're doing. I think this kid is on a rocket ship, and I believe this fight is being put together for him to show out the way he has in his last couple of fights, and it's kind of up to him to just not fuck it up. I know this is going to be a new challenge for him with the grappling pace and the grappling defense, having to deal with a guy like Gamrot. But as I said before, Rafael Dos Anjos had Gamrot hurt badly in that fight. A dude the size of Salkilld with the power of Salkilld, I think he'll be the one. I think he'll be the one to clip him on the chin and put him away. Quillan Salkilld is a minus 142 favorite, plus 120 on Mateusz Gamrot. I think a lot of people out there, the sharps, I think this is going to be the sharp square divide this week, Wiz. I think the sharps are going to go, you know what? You sell high on this kid and you buy on Gamrot, who's been nothing but competitive and nothing but reliable. Buy him at plus money. And I understand that argument. But I think this is the square's day. I think Quillan Salkilld is just that fucking dude. And with him being that much younger and that much bigger, I think he'll find a way to win this one. I'm calling for the KO. I'm going to sit. I'm going to watch because the lower this line gets, the more I like it. So I'll wait for this thing to bottom out, man. I was ready and willing to lay the minus 155 on Quillan. Now he's closer to minus 140. I like it better. We'll see how low this goes. If we can get minus 110s, I'll be ecstatic. But I like Quillan this week.
Yeah, I'll be very honest about this, and this is something I'm working on getting better at. It's main event fights. I think, least profitable spots are main event fights. Whether it's because both guys are that high level, especially when it comes to like the closely lined main event fights, it just seems to be that it's a little bit harder to predict the outcome there, and that makes sense. Both guys are in that spot for a reason. They're both high level, typically, and when it's that close of a line, there is a very specific reason. And here, it's that Gamrot, if he successfully finds the takedowns and is able to land that first round of control and gain that confidence, it's just going to snowball. Gamrot's a fighter that tends to snowball in terms of his style. We see it in most of his fights where he wins. He gets the grappling going in the first round with his patented high single leg, and then continues to get that same takedown over and over again for 3 rounds. Now, is he going to be able to do that against Quillan Salkilld, who himself, yeah, he's known to be a high-level grappler too, but this is, in the Australian scene, in the regional scene, where we haven't really seen him prove it outside of that. Yeah, he's had a couple of submissions here and there in the UFC, but on the feet is where we've seen him do his best work, and he's throwing a lot of good straight shots. When he's pushed to round 3, I'm forgetting the name of the fighter who took him there. I believe, Yanal Ashmus, which, again, could be because it was his debut. He was huffing and puffing in that 3rd round, but Yanal Ashmus couldn't take advantage because he broke his right hand in that fight. So that was an issue. How does he perform if this fight extends is my worry. Because other than that, I do agree with you. I do think that this could be Quillan Salkilld making it easy, defending the takedowns, and then just piecing up Gamrot on the feet, who, like you said, has been hurt multiple times in his past few fights. Maybe not the last one, but the one before that, he was getting buzzed. The Dan Hooker fight, very bad look. So for me, I think it's Salkilld or pass, but you have to be confident that you have to accept that if this fight does hit the mat the first 2 rounds, and Gamrot's finding that takedown success, not to be mad at yourself when he's gassed out in the 3rd round, because I don't think this guy's gas tank is checked out, at least to me, just yet. So I'm going to pump the brakes, maybe just watch this one from the sidelines. I do predict that Salkilld wins this fight inside the distance by knockout, but not very low confidence.
I'm with you. Yeah, it's not going to be like a hammer bet or anything like that for me. Probably just going to be a normal sized action. Going to have to take the shot. I feel like Salkilld may be one of those generational rocket ships. I missed the first 1 or 2 spots, but I got on and I've been on it since. So why get off now? Might as well run it and see what happens. But I don't mind. I understand the thought process of people going against him on this one. The total kind of weirds me out a little bit. Because let's be real, if Quillan does lose this fight, I think modern Gamrot might be able to get a finish on him because it's probably a cardio death. So I think violence is more likely than it going the full 25 minutes. But I don't know. Maybe Quillan is able to hold it together and Gamrot can't find the sub or something like that and it squeezes over. I'm less confident in the total than I am in my read on the side. So we'll stick with Quillan to go ahead and keep the good times rolling and just take over this weight class by force. That's the plan. Wiz, my friend, thank you very much for joining me, you guys. That was UFC Vegas 120, top to bottom. This was a fun card, even though it's sketchy as hell. I feel like we got some good info out of it. Wiz brought a very good perspective. You guys are going to get both sides on almost all of these fights because we did not agree a lot on this show. So it's going to be an interesting one. My man, Wiz, the floor is yours. If you've got any sponsors, if you've got any shows coming up, your channel, whatever, feel free. Shout out whatever you got, my guy.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, first and foremost. I know we've been trying to do this for a long time, and now that I'm back to content, I'm looking forward to being back on here at some capacity in the future. Always a fun time breaking down fights with you, Clint. You guys can find me at Wiz MMA on X, on YouTube. I'm starting to do my weekly breakdown video every single week moving forward, whether it's on a Wednesday or a Thursday. You'll see me tweet about it. And then shout out to Polymarket and Kalshi, both sponsors of the channel. So really appreciate all of you who have been showing me some love in my return, and looking forward to just giving you guys quality breakdowns every single time.
Appreciate you coming on, my guy. It's been fun. Thank you all for tuning into the show. Really appreciate each and every one of you. We had over 400 viewers live on all platforms here streaming tonight. So appreciate you guys being here. Please hit that like button. Share the show if you're out on social media. Of course, come back, throw comments in the comment section here on YouTube. I always try to get back to you guys as much as I possibly can. Appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you. And I know we started the show on a bit of a bummer note, but I do just want to reiterate, you guys, that no day is promised to us. Let's make the best choices we can every single day. I always try to encourage people. So somebody in the chat, we were going too fast, Wiz, I missed it, but someone was like, why are you always so positive? Like, that's me. That's what I do. I try my best. I'd rather be happy-go-lucky and maybe a little bit on the gullible side than down in the dumps all the freaking time, because once you let those dark thoughts in, they're hard to shake off. So try to be the light in someone else's life, you guys. I promise if you do that, it's going to get returned to you. If you reach out to that friend and check on them if they're struggling, more often than not, that friend will reach out when they feel like you're struggling. You build that kind of relationship with people. Protect yourself. You're as good as the people who are around you. So surround yourself with positive people and your life will improve. I promise. Get out there, do a nice thing, give somebody a hug. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you for the total takedown, Cleanse Hot Props, and of course, the undefeated post-weigh-in show on Friday for myself, for Wiz. That was the Die Hard MMA podcast. Love you guys. Let's roll.